By the end of this video, you will become an expert and you will have sufficient knowledge on how to beat any 6 or 7 star TERA raid in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So I highly recommend that you watch this video all the way to the end. Now there are 6 key areas that I will talk about. Now before I get straight into it, I would love and appreciate if you guys would subscribe to my channel. Genuinely, it would make me really happy if you did. Having said that, let's get straight into it. So the first key area is all about typing. You need to know the Pokemon's TERA type and you also need to know the Pokemon's actual type. This is important because you need to plan ahead to know what moves that you are going to be coming up against. Now, because I have a fire TERA type Hatterene, I'm going to be picking a water type, a ground type or a rock type. So I need to look at all the water, ground and rock type Pokemon that I have and make a decision on which Pokemon is going to be best. Unfortunately, Hisuian Samurott won't work, Quaquaval won't work because they are weak to fairy type moves. Iron Thorns potentially could, Gyarados potentially could. Garchomp, one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, won't work because of its dragon typing and being weak to fairy type moves. So in the end I went with Groudon because Groudon will take neutral damage from Hatterene's attacks whilst also being bulky enough and strong enough to dish out its own powerful moves. Now these are the type of conversations you need to have with yourself to pick the best possible Pokemon for a raid event. Now let's move on to the second key area, which is all about understanding stats. Now in terms of stats, there are 3 key areas that we need to focus on: IVs, EVs and Natures. Now I'm going to leave a link or links in the description down below to all of my videos talking about IVs, EVs and Nature, so you have more of an understanding and an awareness. Now, in terms of IVs, at level 100, 31 IVs equals an additional 31 points, meaning it is imperative that you hyper train your Pokemon in all 6 stats. So buy yourself some bottle caps, speak to this NPC in Montenevera, hyper train your Pokemon, get those additional 31 points. Now regarding EVs, you can max out 2 stats. Now if we have a look at my Hisuian Samurott here, I have maxed out its attack stat and I've maxed out the HP because it is a physical attacker. Now you can max out special attack and HP if it is a special attacker, or if you're going for more of a specialist build like I have with my Mew here, I have maxed out my special attack and my special defense because I'm going to use it to take on the 7-star Mewtwo TERA raid. That's everything that we need to know about EVs because they give you an additional 63 points in the 2 stats that you max out. Now lastly, Natures is extremely important. If it's a special attacker, you go for a modest nature. If it is a physical attacker, you go for an adamant nature. Now sometimes you can have varying builds. For example, this is my Corviknight build, which is not going to have a nature that boosts its physical or special attack, but a nature that boosts its defense. It's the same for my Hisuian Goodra, but again that's going to be completely down to you. Now that's everything we need to know about understanding stats. Let's have a look at the third key area, which is moveset. Now I want to talk about 3 types of moves, which are buff moves, debuff moves and healing moves. Now the best buff moves are Swords Dance and Nasty Plot because they increase your attack and your special attack by 2 stages. You can go up by 6 stages, so obviously within 3 turns you will have reached the max. Now not all Pokemon have access to these moves, so Dragon Dance and Calm Mind are actually good alternatives, but unfortunately they work a lot slower because it's going to take you 6 turns to go up to 6 stages. Now the best debuff moves are Metal Sound and Screech because they reduce Pokemon's defense, special defense by 2 stages. Again, you can go down by 6 stages. However, when a raid Pokemon's shield goes up, these moves become ineffective. But instead you have extremely powerful moves like Acid Spray, which is actually an attack with a secondary effect of reducing a Pokemon's special defense by 2 stages. This is why Acid Spray works extremely well, because the effect still occurs even when a raid Pokemon has their shield up. Snarl is also a good move because it reduces a Pokemon's special attack by 1 stage even when the shield is up. Now lastly, in terms of healing moves, Drain Punch is obviously the best one. But not all Pokemon have access to it. Synthesis is also a good move, but if a Pokemon does not have access to a healing move, it's not the end of the world. Give them an item like a Shell Bell or leftovers, maybe even something specialist like a Black Sludge, and that will help as a solid line of recovery. Now that's everything we need to know about movesets. Let's move on to the 4th key area, which is abilities. The best abilities are ones that synergize effectively with a Pokemon's moveset. So if your Pokemon has an ability that synergizes well with this moveset, you're on to a winner. So for example, here my Charizard has the ability Solar Power, where in harsh sunlight its special attack will be boosted but its HP will decrease. So it synergizes effectively with the move Sunny Day because it's going to boost the power of Flamethrower, which is going to be my main damage dealing moves. We also have my Grimmsnarl, which has the ability Prankster, which gives priority to status moves. So I can get Light Screen set up very easily. If it had Reflect, I can get Reflect set up very easily early within a Terra Raid battle. We also have my Hisuian Samurott, one of my favorite Pokemon, which has the ability Sharpness. Now the ability Sharpness increases the power of slicing moves. So I've got Razor Shell here, I've got Aqua Cutter here. These attacks are going to be boosted by the ability Sharpness. So the best abilities are the abilities that synergize effectively with the Pokemon's moveset. That's everything we need to know about abilities. Let's move on to the next key area, which is items. Now the best way to see how items work in battle is to focus on my Ursaluna here. Now my Ursaluna has the ability Guts, which will increase its attack by 50% if it is inflicted by a major status element. So your paralysis, your burn, your freeze, your sleep, your poison. However, if I give it the item Flame Orb, now what Flame Orb does is that it inflicts the user with burn damage. So do you see the synergy there? My Ursaluna is going to be holding the item Flame Orb, which is going to give it burn status. However, from that burn, its attack is going to be increased by 50%. 50% is a lot, especially when Ursaluna's attack stat is already very, very high. Now this is one great example of how an item synergizes extremely well with a Pokemon's ability. And we also have items such as Shell Bell and Leftovers that work extremely well. However, you get these specific scenarios with these specific Pokemon like Ursaluna, where items such as Flame Orb are extremely powerful. And again, the best way is to probably go online and look at specific builds and specific items and see how they can work well with whichever Pokemon that you're focusing on. Now that we've looked at items, let's look at the last key area, which is cheers. Now as you can see from the picture below, there are 3 different cheers that you can use within a Terra Raid battle. Now you can use a cheer up to 3 times per Terra Raid. Cheers have an increased priority over moves and the effectiveness is completely random. Stat boosting effects, they are independent from other stat modifiers, which means that their effects can stack. So you can use a Belly Drum and then you can use a Go All Out. Now the stat boost from the same cheers, they do not stack, so that must be made abundantly clear. Now I've seen many players not use cheers within Terra Raid battles, and honestly I do not understand why, especially if you're doing the 6 and 7 star Terra Raid. They can come in handy. My advice is, if you can use them, definitely do use them. And that's pretty much it. That's all we really need to know about cheers. Now that's everything that I wanted to cover in the video, and if you use all of this information that I have given to you, then you will definitely be able to beat any 6 or 7 star Terra Raid Pokemon. Now obviously there are going to be some that are trickier than others, and you're probably going to have to look at very niche scenarios and very niche builds for Pokemon, but that's absolutely fine. If you use this information, you'll definitely be able to do it. Hopefully guys, you've enjoyed it. If you have, subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time.